Guys, we're back. Q&A episode like I promised. I didn't want to put the two together. It would have been an hour and a half, 2 hour long episode. We already had our marathon in the Nations League final, okay? First off, anger management, man. I'm over here smashing the table, pounding my fist too many times in the episode. I was told I need to tone it down. Fortunately, I'm not as upset, right? We got a 4-0 easy W yesterday against Costa Rica. We played something that resembled organized football again. We were in chaos mode. Obviously, the stakes were much, much different. The intensity was much different. But we put together another smashing that got Costa Rica's manager sacked. But we're not here to discuss that game today. Right now, we're going to do the Q&A, get back to a lot of people that left very good comments. I'm going to get straight to it, all right? Here we go. Question/comment number 1. Would love to hear your thoughts on Tata's player selection tactics. Why didn't he start lioness? Well, I'm not going to go too long into that because I'm not here to discuss Mexico, okay? My suspicion is lioness didn't go from the get-go. It was a planned thing to use Antuna's pace, to use Chucky's pace, to use Tecatito's quality. And he wanted to start those three guys, maybe bringing in lioness later in the game when it was open to terrorize. That's what he did. I think everybody in the Mexican media criticized why so late with lioness. It would have been better maybe at the 60th minute mark. But this game was a war. Maybe he didn't think it was suited to lioness qualities. Lioness lit us up, okay? So fortunately for us, he didn't start. He didn't play a bigger role because he's been very, very good in the lead up to the Nations League. In the Iceland friendly, he was their best guy. Coming off an okay season with Betis, but lioness impressive in the Nations League final. We move on. Dimitri, but by the way, that was from Jack Silk. Silk. Dimitri Dube says, do you still consider West to be a donkey? Holy cow. Well, I think you have the wrong brother pegged because it wasn't me that put that, all right? Maybe Gary thinks that way. Listen, Weston McKennie is a warrior. I think I've had an episode specifically tailored to him and who he is and who he isn't. That hasn't changed, okay? He is not a world beater with the ball at his feet. He is not very good in terms of the ideas in the final third and picking out passes and executing them. He is very good at the other things he brings to the table, at his energy, at his headers. My God, what he did the other day in the final against the little Mexicans, towering over them, and just his timing is impeccable. What he is good is pushing people, winning duels, and covering a ton of ground. So he has grown. Juventus has been amazing for him. And by the way, he has gotten slightly better technically. Tactically, he's got a ways to go. In the Juve tactics, you saw what Pirlo did. We'll see what the new coach does with Allegri. They would literally see his deficiencies in terms of what he is with the ball. They would clear him out of space, get out, be a decoy, make runs in behind. We want nothing to do with you in the build-out. Similar to what happened with Anthony Robinson yesterday, right? This guy was cleared out, 80 yards upfield in the build-out. Sebi legit was pulling out to the left. So, again, I'm not going to deviate there. But to answer your question, Weston McKennie is not a donkey. He has use. I don't know him on a personal level. His leadership qualities, his swag, his personality, what he brings to the group is so, so important. And yes, I know he's going to be an important part of this team. So let's continue to hope he progresses and continues to take things serious. I didn't see the Weston McKennie that I criticized a few months ago doing 360s and step overs and thinking he was Danielson or Robinho or Neymar. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. He was taking it serious, and that's the expectation. Stick to your strong suits, bring what you can to the team, and play for the team, and that's what he did. Next one is Jay Hernandez. Jay says, should we do it with a 3-man back line? Do away with it. Yes, I believe. I said big balls from the staff to change your tactics, something you had never rehearsed. Maybe they had 1 or 2 days to rehearse this. They did it thinking it was going to be beneficial. Mexico had punished us in previous occasions in recent memory, okay? Not too long ago, 3-0, 1-0 before in the Gold Cup final. So we had to change something. If you keep tripping over the same rock, then we would have questioned Greg and why he didn't change it up. So he did. 3-man back line. Listen, McKenzie had a shocker. Reem had a shocker. We went to the 4-man back line later in the game, and we got the dub. So no need to really question it. What I do recommend happens, once we get an opportunity to, whether it's us killing in World Cup qualifying and securing our qualification early, which I suspect will happen, is we do need a plan B, and we need to have it rehearsed. Since we won't have it rehearsed, all our best players aren't playing at the Gold Cup. I don't know when the time's going to be to rehearse it, but I wouldn't say to eradicate the 3-man back line. We need a plan B as well, because in the World Cup, guess what? We're going to play good teams, and that might be the tactic we have to employ. Whether it's a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 remains to be seen. But, Jay, good point. Yes and no. Doing away with it, Yes. And doing away with it? No. So hopefully that answers your question. Michael Perkins says, against Honduras, Berhalter vacated the AM. Is that attacking mid? I don't know what that is. So players could check in and disorganize the defense. Didn't work. Against Mexico, he tried flooding the midfield instead of isolating the 6. Very different tactical reasons, but the same problem remained. Attacking midfielders disconnected and unable to provide service. Yeah, so Michael, listen, on the tactical side, yes and no. We can agree to disagree whether that's what happened or that was the plan or wasn't the plan. The player profiles in our attacking mids, we haven't employed any real creative attacking midfielder. Okay, that's just the reality. Sebi Lletget is not an attacking midfielder. He can't pick a final pass. He can't execute it. He can't score. Minus tap-ins against Jamaica and Guatemala and who else? Okay, Yunus Musa isn't that type of player. Neither is Weston McKennie. So listen, we are employing some of our most creative players on the wings, which is fine. But we also need that in central midfield, especially guys, when we have a player like Tyler Adams fit and ready to go. We don't need 3 destroyers. We need somebody with creative capabilities in the center of the park. First off is selecting that type of player. And then the tactics come behind it. Whether it's in a 4-2-3-1 or having dual attacking mids or 2 holding and 1 attacking, where we want our players to show up, it all also depends on the collective unit, right? If we have advanced outside backs, obviously the wingers will tuck in and be more creative qualities like an Aronson, like a Pulisic, like a Gio Reyna. If we want our wingers super wide, then those guys, the outside backs aren't going to be starting in wide positions, and it'll be Timo Weah or even Christian Pulisic that could play as a true winger, right? That isn't Gio's quality either. We want him inside. So a lot of it comes from the collective guys. But listen, the player selection has a ways to go in terms of getting true attacking midfield talent on the field, and that will enhance Gio. That will enhance Christian. They will be able to combine. They will get the ball in good areas, in attacking areas where they need to make damage in the final third instead of dropping in 30, 40, 50 meters and not being able to be effective in the final third or get to the final third physically fatigued and not being able to finish off plays. So that's an episode in itself, guys. Let's see. Who is this? Goleador Sucio S.O. Okay. That means it's a dirty goal scorer. What do you think is going on with Dest? Man, I'm not there. I'm not in camp. I'm not in Dest's inner circle. But Serginho has had a difficult ending to the season at Barcelona where he just wasn't fresh. He didn't look explosive. He didn't look dynamic. He looked like he was in cruise control. As it translated to the national team in the games against Switzerland and Honduras and Mexico, I didn't see the real Dest either. I saw a very casual Dest. I don't know if it was a mental approach or if he's physically exhausted and spent from having his first real high-level season as a pro. He had it at Ajax. I don't think he played as many games, especially pressure type of games, because in the Dutch league, Ajax bosses it. In the Spanish league, Barcelona bosses it 75% of the time. But the mental drain that must be to line up and play for Barcelona and have that responsibility has probably taken its toll on Serginho. He was not the same Serginho. I hope he can recharge his batteries, and I hope we see a different Serginho, the real one, the one with a high-level potential, where everybody's saying, oh, this could be like Dani Alves. That's not ever going to happen, but we need the best version of Serge in our lineup for World Cup qualifying and beyond. So I don't know what's going on. All I know is that we need a better version of Serginho Dest. MFT, a lot of talk about a system. Is there one? Oh man, that's another episode in itself. So yes, there is a system. These guys have been rehearsing. I know there's tactical work being done. I know from players telling me firsthand. I know what the sessions are like. I know what the structure is like. I've seen it when they were here in January of 2020. So there is a system, guys. Patience. Patience runs things when we can't see it implemented against real opponents. When it's going against El Salvador and it's 6-0, it's easy. When it's going against Panama, it's easy. When it's going against Costa Rica, B or C team, it's easy. We want to see it, obviously, against real opponents, which we don't have any. We finally had one in Switzerland, and we finally had one in Mexico, and we didn't really get to see it, right? We got to see our press, that part of our identity against the Swiss. We didn't get to see it against Mexico very well. Our build-outs We got to see it a little bit against the Swiss. We didn't get to see it against Mexico. So I think we're all, as fans, as critics, as supporters, we all are going to put the spotlight and want to see a complete performance. But it's a process, guys. So we have a cup. We got to be happy about that for now. But we got to continue to spotlight and critique and say what's what when it comes to our identity, our system, our tactics that you kind of put in play. So MFT, I'm just like you, looking forward to seeing a better performance leading into World Cup qualifying. The last thing I'll say on this topic is CONCACAF. Oh, it's so difficult. Oh, it's such a difficult region. Yes, there are elements, okay? Travel, there's elements. Hostile environments, there's elements. Weather, heat, humidity, altitude. But we're playing against minnows, okay? So that balances the, I don't know what percentage point it'll balance the level playing field or not. But we're not going to Bolivia and playing in La Paz in 4,000 meters of altitude. We're not going to Ecuador at noon and playing 3,000 in the capital in Quito, where it's a disaster and you can't breathe. We're not going to hostile environments in Chile or Uruguay or Argentina or Brazil. We're not going to Barranquilla and Colombia and playing that heat humidity where it smothers and you die. And we're not playing real soccer opponents either. So, listen, I want to see top performances in the qualification process, and I want to see a clean sweep, 9 points. 3 match days, 9 points. 3 match days, 9 points, and playing better soccer. All right, guys, next question. Alan Miller. Alan Miller says, you have talked about Weston McKennie not having the profile to take the team to the next level. As he is clearly going to be part of the team, how would you use him to maximize his strengths and minimize his weaknesses to the team? Alan, it's a great question. I already spoke earlier about Weston, but I'll touch this topic again. I think it's similar to what Andrea Pirlo did. I think he analyzed the player as he incorporated him to the team. He realized that Weston's strong suit is not with the ball at his feet, especially not in the build-out phase. So he pushed him higher up the field, decoy, get in the box, make runs in behind, stretch the team, let our real guys get on the ball and advance the team forward. So something similar will be employed, although I don't think we will be pressured in too many situations, maybe in away games against the top tier CONCACAF opponents. So I don't think we'll have a problem there. I think, we just need to let Weston do what he does best, right? Be an animal on set piece offense, set piece defense, run, hit, smash, but in a structured environment, okay? Not just all over the field getting everybody's way. And ultimately, I think having another creative presence to have balance in that midfield, to have Tyler Adams, to have Weston McKennie, and a creative type player. Who that is, hopefully one sprouts up, because we have plenty of candidates that aren't necessarily ready today to be the solution. But we have, 18 months until Qatar, and we have a lot of week games and a lot of dress rehearsals from here to then. I don't know how many games from here to then, but we need to start trying options. Be that Brendan Aronson, be that Richie Ledesma when he gets back, be that continue the full court press on Efrain, be that Alex Mendez, be that Gianluca Busio. I don't know who that is yet, but we need to pick one and start going with them. Someone that can actually pick passes in the final third, someone that could kill you off the dribble, somebody that could pick up his head and crush a keeper from 20 meters outside the box. We don't have that. That will enhance Christian. That will enhance Gio. That will enhance our number 9. We don't have somebody doing that in our midfield, okay? And I think that's it for that. So Edward asks, what's your dream midfield? Here we go. I just answered that. 6, 8, and 10 for the USMNT. Edward, 2-for-1 question, piggyback off Alan Miller, all right? Kirk, who do you think should be the backup to Adams right now? Additionally, is Des playing out of position worth it just to get Cannon or Yedlin on the field? So the backup to Tyler Adams right now, if you look at the most recent games, it's Jackson Ewell and Kellen Acosta. Are those guys high-level guys to get us to the next level? Absolutely not. But they're filling a role for the time being until we can get, some of these younger candidates that are playing at high levels, not cracking first teams yet, could supplement Tyler Adams, who is a beast, it's pretty much Tyler Adams plus 10 in my book right now, all right? Des out of position, it's kind of necessary, okay? Because Anthony does not fit the profile of a player to play the system that we are playing. That's it. Is Reggie the solution on the right channel? No. Is DeAndre the solution? No. But until we can get a better solution at the left back or at the right back, Serge has to cover that option, okay? But the real Serge, the Serge we saw in these last 3 games, might as well let him play on the right and figure it out on the left with anybody, okay? And anybody minus the Jedi. Sorry. I know some people are going to jump all over me. Oh, the Jedi's Premiership Player of the Year. Oh, Man City. While we're here, addressing it. Again, if you watched the game yesterday at the Rio Tinto, and I'm slamming the table because I get heated. If you watch the game, you tell me if Anthony Robinson can play for Manchester City under Pep Guardiola in a possession system, he can't even do it on our B team against scrubs on Costa Rica. He's kicking the ball out of bounds. He's dribbling out of bounds. He can't pick a pass. He has no idea what to do with the ball at his feet in a structured system. Okay? For him, it's got to be run and gun, go, 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 use your athleticism, because he is a very good athlete. So I don't want to hear this stuff. Man City. Can't even play for our USMNT. He's going to play for Man City. Sorry, the anger management kicked in. Ben Fast says, why does no one ever measure the USMNT progress by whether or not we can control a game or be the protagonist against teams that have historically controlled match against us? Listen, guys, it's true. We want to see it. It hasn't been done, but I think it was more important. I defended the approach of beating Mexico. Had we played good football and controlled 60% of the possession and created, we wouldn't have going to create anything because we don't have creative players, but created 15 chances in the Nations League final, but lost, would we have been happy? The answer is no. Okay, so this buys this staff, this buys this team time, more time to work in peace, because you can't have bickering and critics and all that and work in peace. So winning that Nations League was huge for that main reason, that now those players and the staff have time to work in peace, get to the World Cup in peace. If we would have lost to Mexico playing beautifully, wouldn't have got the job done. So I would have mimicked pretty much the same exact thing that staff did. At sometimes you have to adapt. So I would love to see it, Ben, just like you. I want to see us boss games. I want to see us be the protagonist. I want to see us go into any environment and dictate. Okay, I like the approach against the Swiss. I liked it. We wanted to play out of everything, and we wanted to go press these guys. In Switzerland, like there's not one fan there. It's not like the Swiss are rioting in the stands. It wasn't something wow, but I like the approach. That's what I want to see always from our team. Here we go. Floyd Thursby says, why do coaches deploy zonal marking on corner kicks like Mexico did? They were vulnerable on every set piece. It's a good question, Floyd, and certain coaches believe that zonal marking is what works for them. And listen, everybody has their thing. I like to do a combination of both, right? Just a few guys in zone, many guys man-to-man. I think in that final, anybody that was watching it without the emotion of the game would see that Weston was just winning every single one in the air. So every time the U.S. got a corner kick, I was like, all right, here it comes. This is it. I mean, I would think that the Mexicans would say, hey, maybe make an adjustment after one or two of them, maybe at halftime already, hey, you are on West, no free run, get good bumps, be all over him, so he doesn't run free. That would have been a solution. I'm thinking that's what you're alluding to now. I don't know why coaches do certain things. I know what I do. In the modern game, everybody has different types of tactics, and they go with what they believe in. Let's see. I think Red, White, and Blue says, seems Greg basically put Dest and Pulisic in positions to not succeed from the jump, with Dest virtually playing left wing and Pulisic playing a sort of second striker. Is that what you saw? And how frustrating is it that our two best players were put in those positions? So, listen, I think out of necessity, Ed, Dest has been placed on the left, okay? Whether he got his tactics right or wrong, we know Dest didn't play a good game. We know he wasn't in his most comfortable position. In the bigger scheme of things, big picture, the best, and I think I said it on my Serginho Dest episode, you got to play them in their positions, okay? Christian playing as an inverted winger on the left, that's what he kind of played in that 3-4-3 system. That's what he's been playing for the USMNT in recent memory. He got moved to the 10 in the last 30 minutes of the final, but I think Christian's somebody that needs to receive the ball in the gaps. I think he needs to be able to turn and have the freedom to go forward and combine. The thing is, get the ball in the gaps, get it in good positions to turn and go do damage. He hasn't had those opportunities, at least not in these two most recent games. He was invisible against Mexico. He didn't play against Costa Rica, and he was average at best against Honduras. So Yeah, the best players need to play in their best positions 1,000,000%. I agree. Scott Jorek says, do you buy into the notion of getting baptized in these types of high-level, meaningful matches? Referring to Mark McKenzie's performance, how much will this experience help him for his future? So, Scott, yeah, it is important to always be challenged and challenge yourself and get out of the comfort zone. And yes, these high-level games, I mean, Mark McKenzie said, I think the only one that got all 4 games, high level was the Swiss, high level was the Mexico. The other 2 were our normal level that we're going to encounter and experience here. I think it was important. I think Mark McKenzie has a long way to go. I think I've said that before. He's not this incredible ball-playing center back that everybody's making him out to me. Yesterday, he put a nice through ball to Daryl Dike. Forward time and space, Mark can pick a pass. Remember in his U20 cycles, the entry pass, he picked to Mendes. He does that almost with a blindfold with time and space at the Union and MLS. I haven't watched him closely since he moved to Belgium, but I think he's in a very good environment, on a good team, in a competitive league where he's going to continue to definitely grow tactically and bring something to this national team. I think he's a role player. I think he's a second-tier center back for our national team. So it's important to get tested though, all right? And obviously Mark will grow up and come out of that a better player. All right, next question is from 11 Yanks. Why do you think Greg talks a lot about using the ball to disorganize the opponent, but almost always plays midfielders who do not have the technical or creative abilities to do so, while relegating our truly creative players to the wing or the bench or out of the roster altogether? Good question, 11 Yanks. I mean, it's something that I was always fearful is, we've said it here, like when the rubber meets the road, usually our managers historically always revert back to let's outcompete, let's outwork you, let's put on grinders, let's put on guys that could win duels, win first balls, win second balls. And unfortunately, that's what we've seen here. Listen, for a year and a half or 2 years, Greg and his staff have worked on implementing an identity. I support it. When it's a final, when you're playing Mexico, it's win at all costs. We can throw that out the window. We did. But ultimately, that's my fear, okay? Because, listen, we're not always going to play the CONCACAF minnows where we're going to have easy opponents that actually respect and sit back on us. We're going to have real opponents soon leading up to Qatar and teams that are going to say, oh, listen, they want to possess? Oh, here's the weak link, here's that weak link. And they're just going to erase us from the field by forcing it into those areas, setting those traps. So we need to continue to challenge ourselves. We need to continue to put the creators and less destroyers on the field. And like I've always said, it's going to benefit. It is going to benefit our players. Hey, listen, some of these creative players that I'm referring to maybe aren't ready yet, okay? But kind of like the Mark McKenzie trial by fire, we have a shit ton of games against weaker opponents. Guys need to be given a look in that central midfield position. Not just about this. We have to have creative players that are composed on the ball, that won't panic, that won't always play backwards and sideways, that can break lines, that have the vision, the technical ability to execute these things. I am not going to get tired of repeating that over and over and over again. It is imperative if we are going to be a team that controls the game, if we're going to be the ones that are dictating play, if we're going to be the ones that are creating 15, 20 goal-scoring chances, and not just relying on set pieces or isolated moments of brilliance from our attacking talent. It has to be this way, guys. So, yes, we're going to have, 16 games. Is that what it is now? There's 18. It's going to be a shit ton. It's going to be a marathon of games. And these players slowly have to be incorporated. 1,000,000%. They have to be doing the business at the club level. And preferably, it's not a knock on MLS, it's just way more competitive when you're playing in Europe. So 90% of the roster is going to be European. Heck, now I think the powers that be, everything that was going on, the politics behind the scenes, have understood it. It's just a reality. So this roster is reflective of that. And listen, the MLS still has their place, and they're going to say, hey, we fabricated these players, we developed these players. They can still have their marketing strategy, but our best players, 90% of the national team, kind of like the top tier national teams, the Brazilians, the Argentinians, they have to have their best players competing in the best leagues and the best environments day in and day out, and we're slowly getting there. So I hope I answered your question. I kind of went on a little side tangent and rambled, but we need our best players. We need our creative players to get opportunities now. I don't care if they're 20 years old, they're frail, they're skinny. Let's see what they look like when somebody's in a deep block, because I've already alluded to countless examples of players that aren't overly athletic on the international scene that dominate football. We have those players. We need to actually use them now. Miguel Ramirez says, aside from the result, because obviously winning is the most important, does Berhalter feel good about his tactics and team? In media preaches this possession style of play, but have yet to see this style implemented. It's like how every new basketball coach says they want to play faster. So, yeah, listen, Miguel, I agree and I disagree. I agree in the fact that we have to get to the place where we feel that we can be the protagonist and continue through against the better opponents. We tried against Switzerland for good stretches. We try to be a team that builds out. We try to be a team that presses you. And we had some successes and some failures, and then in the second half, it all went to hell. Then came competition for a Rio trophy that we wanted to win. So the tactics and all that, identity that we've been working on for so long against weaker opponents, it kind of went out the window. And listen, I adamantly said I respect that because winning was key for so many reasons that we've already discussed. So when is it going to happen? I don't know, but we need to continue to grow into that. A big knock, in my opinion, is the Gold Cup. We should have our best team there, but it's not possible for the scheduling, for the calendar. That's another CONCACAF fuck up. And business money talks like always here domestically in our country, right? It's all about business. It's less about sporting and the actual soccer. So until we get the scheduling and those things aligned, it's going to be very difficult for us. The basketball analogy, I don't really know, but I get what you're saying. Everybody talks the big talk, oh, we're a possession team. I've heard this. You know how much I've heard this from college coaches recruiting players? I don't know, 15 years ago. Oh, come, we play such good football. We're possession. We play just like your club team play. And then you actually go and see the product, and it's fucking terrible. So I get what you're saying. From that perspective, been disappointed by the performances in that key week. But, hey, we lifted a cup. The momentum's there. Players get vacation now. We'll see what the second-tier group looks like, or the third-tier group that we take to the Gold Cup, the domestic guys look like. And hopefully we can dominate our region because minus Mexico, everybody else on paper has no business being on the field with us. And they respect the badge now, not this one, our crest. They respect it so much, all the hype, all our players overseas, that they're going to sit back. And we need creative players to unlock those defenses. Hope I answered a little bit there, Chris. Getting a little bit fatigued here, mentally fatigued, but we're going to go. Chris says, Brian, what logic would Triple G have used to avoid these two lineup options? Not perfect, but in my honest opinion, best options given Tyler out and the 22 guys he had available. No, and he puts the lineups up. So it's either Josh or Jordan up top, Pulisic wide left, Reina as the 10, Wea wide right, Weston and Eunice as the dual defensive midfielders, Anthony Robinson left back, Brooks left center back, right center back he puts either Miazga or Mark McKenzie, and Serginho Dest on the right. So why wouldn't he do that? Yeah, he chose not to. Again, because the priority is to have mature people to win defensive duels in the middle is what I'm assuming. Kind of like what we've always had. So that's one lineup he put out. The second one was in the 3-4-3 we ended up going with in the final. His lineup had Brooks, Mark, and Miazga as the back three. Pretty much that's what we did, but we put Ream. Anthony Robinson left wing back, Des White right wing back. Obviously Anthony wasn't on the field. It was Yedlin and Des on the other side. He put Wes and Eunice next to each other. It was Wes and Kellen. And he put Pulisic, Josh, and Gio. So that's pretty much what we did in the final in terms of tactics and lineup. We just had Ream and Kellen Acosta in there, man. So good lineups, good thoughts on paper. The coaches do what they think is best to always attain a result. That's all I can say. I'm not Triple G, but I'm assuming he put the team on the field that he thought was going to get us a result. And ultimately, they got the result. Bounce here, bounce there, VAR here, VAR there, and we lifted the cup and all is well. I would love to see the narrative if we didn't win that game. Would Pulisic have been such a hero? Would our performance have been heroic? Were the tactics of the coach incredible? Or would the media have come down hard and hammered the guy for switching his tactics and throwing everything out the window? That's the beauty of this game, isn't it? Here we go. Next one is Sundell, and he asks, why isn't Musa cap-tied to the U.S. yet? Is that a concern? So to my understanding, there's been a lot of talk about that. I think Eunice is cap-tied now because of the friendly rules. He's played in more than FIFA friendlies. I think 3 is the limit, and then you become cap-tied. Rules are constantly changing, evolution. Nobody even knows the freaking rules. So let's hope that he is cap-tied. I'm not concerned. He publicly said he was going to play for the U.S. Everybody was a little bit concerned that he didn't play in the Nations League. That didn't cap-tie him. Apparently that was already handled. He played against Costa Rica. I'm hoping the guy's cap-tied because he's one for the future for sure. Analytics Soccer. What happened with Musa? Another Musa concern. Why did Ream start over Robinson? How could Dest be better utilized? And then would love to Ulian is out there. Thought he significantly outperformed Aronson versus Costa Rica. Any news on that front? So let's take one at a time. What happened with Musa? I just explained with Musa. Listen, I don't think he was in good form to close out his season at Valencia. He wasn't getting consistent minutes. He was sporadic appearances off the bench. Sometimes it was subbed in the 90th minute just to burn some time. So Eunice was not in peak form. And this happens with young players where they have a lot of highs and lows. It happens with every player, even veteran players. So listen, the staff obviously has him in camp and deemed that he was not ready to help us get the results. Why did Ream start over Robinson? I'm pretty sure Ream, at least technically, is a lot more sound than Robinson, so he can allow us to at least maintain possession or build out to an extent. I will never stop beating that drum because it's the truth. Robinson does not fit the profile for a player to play the system we've been utilizing. How could Dest be better utilized? It's obvious, playing right back. You can debate if he's better with a 3-man back line like he's done a lot this year at Barcelona and he did in this last game, or a 4-man back line. Serginho just needs to have a better approach. I think he has some fitness issues. I think he has some mentality issues, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, because he's not the Serginho Dest that we've seen in his better days. And Uli Yanes, you love to see Uli out there. He outperformed Aronson. So listen, Uli Yanes is focusing on recovering. He had a bad ankle sprain that kept him out of Olympic qualifying. Aronson, Uli comparison, that was, I don't know, 16 months ago. Soccer has no memory. So what Uli did 16 months ago doesn't matter. It's about what he's doing right now, and he hasn't been playing in his club. So Uli Yanes has to focus on having a good preseason, getting himself back to his club, killing it, and I'm sure he will resurface and be called up because the staff really appreciates his qualities. Steve Estes says, it was hard for me to tell whether the ref was having a bad game or whether he did brilliantly, and the intensity of the moment makes us look for any excuses. As far as I can tell, until the Herrera incidents, he was doing great, but the lack of action there colored the rest. So listen, man, it's a tough job being a referee. It's a tough job being an international referee. It's a tough job refereeing any derby or clásico at any level in any part of the world. And yeah, I don't really focus on the referee. He had his blunders, he had his mistakes, VAR here, VAR that, the scuffles, people grabbing each other, grabbing the throat, nothing done. Herrera could have had a double yellow, pardoned him intentionally, then had to do the same for Mark McKenzie because he did for referees. I don't think he decided this game. VAR kind of did decide this game when they went to the VAR and gifted us, I think, that penalty that Pulisic transformed and got us ultimately the championship. He also had to compensate and gifted Mexico that unintentional Mark McKenzie handball. So the ref is what it is, man. I don't even know what nationality he is. All I know is that we won the cup. And whatever the ref did or didn't do, I don't think he had that much of an impact on the game. Arch Stanton, what are your thoughts on Tanner Tesman as a national team prospect? It's a good one, Arch, man. Tanner Tesman went from the great super hype because he played a few games for FC Dallas and did okay again in a league that affords you time and space as a central midfielder. Yeah, he could pick passes, okay? I've known Tanner for a long time. I think he's a good player. I think he's somebody that could have helped our U20 national team, who never convened, who never was given the opportunity to qualify for their World Cup, who was never given a chance to play their World Cup, but then he jumped a level to the U23s. Again, guys, I don't want to make excuses for Tanner or anybody. It's difficult, okay? The guy was omitted from the roster, then he replaced Uli at the 11th hour, then he got some sporadic opportunities. Guadalajara, altitude, conditions, not in the season form. There's so many variables that go in there, not just for Tanner, but other players that had shit performances there. But the reality is, Tanner Tesman, for our senior team, he's not even close, in my opinion, to being to help our senior pool. I hope that answers that. Got a long way to go. Hopefully he continues to improve at Dallas and can maybe get challenged and take his craft overseas, because he's got a very interesting profile. Even though he's big, he's not the strongest, he's not physical, he doesn't smash people. He's a technical guy that wants to play and have the ball at his feet. Jovan Pulido. Are you related to Pulpo, Alan Pulido, Jovan? What would be your starting lineup and formation? Come on, Jovan, you're putting me on the spot here, man. I'm going to come back to you at the end, all right, Jovan? Because I have a lot of thoughts on that. Deuce says, thoughts on Greg's tactics. Listen, it's so easy now to give my opinion after the fact. I would have loved to have been on live stream, you know, when the lineup came out and we could have discussed it then or during the game. Now it's easy. Greg's tactics were pretty much spot on. Throw your identity out the window. Don't play out of the back. Alter your formation to deal with better transition moments and have the midfield clogged up a little bit. You don't have your key piece in Tyler Adams. We have to figure out another solution. So he did it. Yeah, we got ran over. We could have been down 2 goals early. We could be having a whole different discussion right now. But you can't. Winning shuts people up. Winning masks everything at all levels of the game. Okay? And nobody could say a damn word now. So I think his tactics were spot on because he was played off the park and failed the previous times against Mexico trying to play a certain way. So you can't trip over the same rock twice and keep going down that road. He had to go a different route with Mexico, and he did, and we got the result, okay? Fortune, good goalkeeping, set piece extraordinaire, all you want, but it worked out, okay? Gator Fanatic says, can't wait for the FIFA rankings to come out. We should be number 1. Yeah, number 1. Gator Fanatic, I know you're saying it in jest. I know you're having a good laugh, a little banter there. We are far from being number 1. We are far from being number 2. We are far from being top 5, top 10. I think we're still tier 2. And everything that I've talked about is the graduating and getting there. The key component there, in my opinion, good work is being done. Identity is trying to be implemented. A group is being formed. But it's all about mentality. It's all about, now that these players are playing high levels and winning trophies in their respective clubs and leagues, that needs to come back here. And they need to be given a belief. A belief that with a certain identity, they could step on the field with any national team, with any opponent, any venue, and go toe-to-toe and trade punches and go for it. When you already insinuate any which way as a coach to your players that you are inferior and this opponent's going to do things better than us and we're in trouble, it goes out the window. The example I've given in the past is Chile when Marcelo Bielsa was their manager. Hey, we go at it. I don't care if we're playing Brazil or Spain or Argentina. It's the World Cup. It's the Copa America. We're not changing our style of play. And listen, Chile didn't win. They lost in the World Cup round of 16. They lost in certain head-to-head with those big teams. But they envied zero. They went at them. They created chances. And the players grew with that belief. And 10 years later, they won back-to-back Copa Americas. Yeah, against Brazil, against Argentina, back-to-back finals. They won those tournaments. Nobody could take that away. That's an identity implemented by a manager with a long window ahead and thinking in the big picture, okay? As it translates to us, and I could say the same thing for Leeds United, when you have a manager like that instills this confidence, Leeds plays toe-to-toe with Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool. And yeah, they got critiqued. Oh, you open yourself up. Who cares? This is exciting. This is attacking football. And more importantly, it builds that into your players' DNA that they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. So, as it alludes to our guys, I think the approach against Mexico got us the result, which is important. But moving forward in World Cup qualifying, it isn't that important because we're going to get points off every other opponent. Let's play a certain way and go and be the protagonist and boss Mexico at their own game. We can do it. We have the talent to do it. We have to rehearse it. We have to believe, and we have to go after it. That's it. And when will we be number 1? We got a long ways to go. Marlon Pascual says, I thought McKenzie started the worst possible, and Lozano was able to get behind him, but I thought he grew into the game, had some good interventions. I'd like to hear your assessment on McKenzie being baptized last night. So I think we already talked about McKenzie and his baptism by fire. Mark has a long way to go, okay? He has a long way to go. He's a strong guy. He's good at winning his duels. He steps in hard at the tackles. He's progressing with the ball. He's got a long way to go in pressure situations and real games against real opponents. Yeah, he's a little bit slow on the turn, but then he can recover with his athleticism. So listen, he's got a ways to go. I don't think he's the solution right now, but who's to say? This guy has great work ethic. He's got great mentality, and I think he's going to be a key piece as of today, a role player, and somebody who we can rely on in the big picture of things. Nathan David says, what does it say about Greg that he probably got the tactics wrong to start, but made some great decisions during the game to make up for it? As a coach, are you judged by how you start or how you finish? So I think I've addressed this in the previous episode. Yeah, listen, I don't know if he got his tactics right or wrong. We were getting abused for 30 minutes. Tim Ream was not the business. We were in trouble. We were in trouble on many facets. They were dragging Brooks out, playing balls in behind. We were fortunate we didn't get punished more in that first half. And yes, he did make some adjustments that were important. He had big minerals to bring Serginho Dest off in the 60th minute. He altered, went to four-man back line. Then came the Ream problem, right? The Ream was always a problem, but now Ream was isolated. Fortunately, it didn't hurt us until Lioness came on. Then he made that adjustment right away, made that sub, changed it. So I think Greg, for being so involved emotionally in that game, and his staff, obviously, who are taking a seat back and watching the game with a clear perspective, made some good decisions down the stretch. And ultimately, what matters is the result. We got the result. We could be singing a completely different tune if we hadn't, okay? We could be crushing him for what the hell were you thinking that Ream is going to mark Lioness. But Weston's killer header saved us all, and we don't have to go down that road. So good points from you, Nathan David. Lastly, Kevin Leon says, seems like after the injury to Stefan, they abandoned any effort to keep the ball and started playing direct through Sibachu and Wea. Subsequently, they got bossed for the rest of the half. Do you think that was an intentional tactical change, or was it due to an injury at the keeper? So this is interesting, Kevin, and I haven't rewatched in detail and taken notes on that specifically. But what I asked, some colleagues that were actually at the stadium, we can't see it all when we're watching on TV. It's a complete different view when you're there. I was curious as to, was it Greg and staff deciding we are going to go direct, even on goal kicks, and not build out, or was it something that the players, because I saw John Brooks' body language and Zach Steffen, was it them saying, no, let's tuck it all in and let's go direct? So I'm kind of curious. I don't know the answer. I wasn't there. But yeah, we were never really thinking or using our normal build-out schemes. And rightfully so. We changed tactics. We changed formation. We were a numerical disadvantage in the central midfield. We were skipping lines a lot, and we were just battling. So it would have been interesting to see that live if I was in the stadium or had a different perspective or different camera angle that captured the whole field to answer that question better. And I think that is all, guys. Listen, again, my apologies that I didn't include this in the original episode. I didn't want it to drag on. I always want to get back to you guys. I love the interaction. I love the questions. I love engaging with everybody. I hope we continue to do this on a consistent basis. I know sometimes I take a little bit absences, but here we are. We have Gold Cup coming up. We have the Euros coming up. We have Copa America coming up. Let me know if you guys want to engage on things beyond just the USMNT. I'm thinking of enhancing it and doing some coverage here of the Euros, Copa America, and some club football when it resumes. All right, I hope everybody's doing well. We got football coming. It's an action-packed summer. Oh, the Olympics. Oh, no, we didn't make it to the Olympics. So that's it, guys. Enjoy and keep coming back with more questions, comments, concerns. Let's have at it.